Now, Histiaeus, I've mentioned that used to be the tyrant of Miletus, and very early on, after Darius became the king of Persia, he identified him as someone who would have likely been a threat to the Persians, and so he made steps to eliminate him. He didn't kill him, but rather tricked him into going with him to Susa in Persia. And the way he tricked him is that he told him that he recognized him as someone who was very wise, and he would have liked to have him around him so that he would be giving him advice whenever he needed it. So I think Histiaeus was not stupid. He knew what Darius was doing, but I think he realized that he didn't have an option. So he accepted to go with Darius to Susa. So he stayed in Susa. So whilst he stays in Susa, he starts trying to figure out how he could get himself out of that place and go back to Miletus and become a tyrant there. So meanwhile, while he's away, his nephew Aristogoras becomes a tyrant of Miletus, or the ruler. I don't think he was really he was a tyrant. So Aristogoras is ruling Miletus, Histiaeus is in Susa. So Histiaeus starts planning how he can make Darius send him back, and what he decides to do is to ask Aristogoras to revolt, because he knew if Aristogoras revolted, then Darius would be like, let me send you back home, go and take care of that problem on my behalf or for me. So, and that's what happens. So when Aristogoras starts a revolt, I've explained this in the previous videos, Darius talks to Histiaeus, and he tells him, I want you to go back to Miletus and take care of this problem. And he promises Darius that, and he leaves. He comes to, so when he's coming from Susa, he has to pass through Sardis, which was like the capital of the Persians in the west. So he has to pass through there. So he goes there. At that time, there was a guy who was in charge, a guy by the name Ataphanes. So Ataphanes is the satrap, is like the governor there. So when Histiaeus reaches Sardis, he goes to talk to Ataphanes. And Ataphanes seems like he saw the mischief in Histiaeus' actions, and Ataphanes tells him, the revolt that is going on in Miletus, I know you must be behind it. He tells him, the shoe that Aristogoras is wearing, you are the one who made it. So, and that makes Histiaeus scared. He realizes that there is someone who can see through his machinations, his lies, and whatever. So he escapes at night from Sardis, and he goes to a place known as Chios. He goes to Chios. Now he's in Chios, and the people there, the Greeks there, I think they were of Ionian tribe, like his own tribe from Miletus. They were the same tribe of Greeks. So he reaches there. The people, of course, know that he has come from Susa, and he has been the chief advisor of Darius. So they don't trust him, and in fact, they arrest him, and they arrest him, and they are not sure what he's up to. And then, but slowly they talk to him, and they gather information from other sources, and they realize that no, these guys, even though he's been living with Darius and the Persians in Susa, this guy is not on that side. This guy is on this other side, and they release him. And after they have released him, he starts staying amongst them for a moment. And then these people ask him a question. Why did you ask Aristogoras to revolt? What was your objective? What were you trying to achieve? And at that moment, he realizes if he tells them the truth, then they were going to be angry with him. And he lies to them. And this is what he tells them. He tells them that the reason why I told Aristogoras to revolt, the reason why these people are asking, why did you ask Aristogoras to revolt, is because they had realized that the actions that Aristogoras took brought a lot of problems to all Greeks. Like the Persians became very brutal to the Greeks because of Aristogoras' actions. So they were like, maybe if you didn't do that, if you didn't ask him to revolt, maybe we will not be in the problems, we will not be having the issues we are having now. The land would be maybe a little bit more peaceful. So that's the reason why they were asking him. So he decides, if he tells them the truth, then they will see that his actions were driven by selfish goals. And he decides, of course, he was not going to expose himself such that the people realize, oh, the problems you are having, the distraction we are getting from the Persians is because this guy wanted to achieve very selfish goals. So he lies to them. He tells them, the reason why I told Aristogoras to revolt against the Persians is because I came across information in Susa that Darius was planning to remove Phoenicians from their land and bring them to the land occupied by Ionians, the Greek, the tribe to which he belonged, and which Milesians and Chios people belonged. He wanted to bring the Phoenicians to our land, and then he wanted to take all of us from our land and take us. We occupy the land that is occupied today by Phoenicians. So I had this, I came across this information, and I decided to pass it over, or to encourage Aristogoras to revolt, so that that does not happen. So, and the people in Chios were satisfied by that answer, and they felt like, okay, this guy was acting on our behalf. But of course he wasn't. The reason why he told Aristogoras to revolt is because he wanted to come back from Susa and come and continue being the tyrant of Miletus. That was his goal. Now, and then something else was happening. While this guy was in Persia, he had built some networks with Persian people. There were members of, we can call them Persians, who he had become very friendly with. And these people had even started feeling like they would support him in whatever he wanted to do. They were Persians, yes, but they felt like maybe their government or their king was unfair to Greeks, so they were kind of like sympathetic to his goals, or his whatever he was doing. So when he's in Chios, at this point he's run away from Antiphanes. Now he's been declared an enemy of Persia. He started sending letters to these individuals, maybe trying to find a way they can help him in his cause. But Antiphanes gets to know about these letters, and he gets the letters, he has them read, and then they are delivered to whoever the letters were supposed to go to. So Antiphanes is aware of everything that is happening. And in fact, Antiphanes ends up arresting many of these Persians and having them killed. And so whatever Histiaeus wanted to achieve using these Persians failed. Now he decides he wants to go back to Miletus, because that was his goal all along. At this point, Aristogoras has run away from Miletus. He's gone elsewhere. I've told you this in the previous video. Now in Miletus, the guy in charge is just a citizen by the name Pythagoras, who had been appointed by Aristogoras before he ran away. Now Histiaeus wants to go back to Miletus and become the tyrant like he used to be. So he asked the Chios to give the people of Chios to give him ships and a small army to go. And indeed he goes to Miletus, but he reaches at the border or at the gate. I think it was a city or an island, and the Milesians don't want anything to do with him. They are like, you are a tyrant, and you left as a tyrant, and now the tyrant you left us ran away, and we've tested freedom, so we are not ready to accept you back. We are not ready to accept you back. We've tested liberty, freedom. So there was a scuffle, and in fact Histiaeus was hurt in the foot, I think, during that scuffle, and he had to go back. He went back to Chios, stayed in Chios for a moment, And then he crossed over and he went to another region called Mytilene. He went to Mytilene, and in Mytilene he put together like a small army, and he became a pirate. Now he started going to sea and uh, hijacking ships of traders, Phoenicians, Persians, and other people in that region. And he did that for a while until he was captured by the Persians, and Artaphorus killed him. But I've mentioned previously that after he was dead, his body was taken to Susa, and Darius organized a very magnificent burial for him.